Cory was dead. That's what I saw.
It's been a grueling 2.5 years for Curtis Lovelace, charged with the murder of his first wife, Cory.
I told him multiple times that I had nothing to do with Cory's death.
A roller coaster saga through jails and courtrooms that would splinter most families into pieces.
He was poisoning me.
And when you were listening to your second wife testify, what was going through your mind?
She testified consistent with her outrageous allegations and the same lies that she had been telling through the course of our divorce.
Are you claiming you know that Kurt killed his wife now?
I know.
Okay, how do you know?
I watched him get rid of evidence.
To be accused of killing your wife, the mother of your children, took it to a whole different level. Such a horrible crime and a horrible accusation. That was beyond what I even expected from Ms. Gomez.
But today he is back home and starting over. And Crime Watch Daily has been invited in for the very first in-depth daytime TV interview with Curtis since the incredibly emotional verdict.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Curtis T. Lovelace, not guilty.
You're sitting there and you finally hear the words, not guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Describe that feeling.
It was tough just being in that moment, with my family there, just waiting for those words. When the jury walked in, they didn't make eye contact, which was a little bit concerning, and it didn't take long.
There was screaming. Did you let anything out?
I think I just dropped my head and said a prayer of thanks. I looked up and I thanked the jury. By that time, they were making eye contact. There were at least 4 or 5 of them that had tears in their eyes. So.
And don't forget, the second trial was an enormous roll of the dice for Curtis Lovelace. He turned down what some saw as an incredibly generous plea deal, and he took the stand to defend himself. Both high-risk strategies that could have easily backfired.
Potentially in this case, at some point, the state may very well say, you can walk away, plead guilty, time served.
It's an enticing offer.
It was, given the risk of potentially going to jail for the rest of my life, but it was something that we agreed that the right thing to do was to say no, and that we believed that the truth would prevail. And as an attorney who would obviously advise clients not to speak to the police or maybe not even to testify, I just went up there as a person who knew the truth, who wanted to share the truth, and that's what I did.
But even Christine was dead set against any plea deal, however attractive, and prepared to pay the consequences.
You told him no way.
Oh, absolutely no way. And it wasn't even just me. It was our children who were saying no, and they were telling their dad that, no, we're not going to allow you to do this. He would never be able to practice law again. We would not be able to do things with our life that we want to do, and it would hinder us for the rest of our lives.
Adding more stress to that mountain of pressure, his children's key testimony of seeing their mother alive on the morning before she was found dead. A major challenge to the prosecution's expert witnesses. They testified that she had died the night before from suffocation and not from alcoholism and liver failure, as the defense contended.
If not for your children, you may not be sitting here right now.
They testified to the truth, to what we saw that morning. They weren't the only part of the case, and I never wanted them in a position that they felt like my fate was resting on them.
But however good the outcome for Curtis, he did spend almost 2 years of his life in jail throughout the ordeal. And he says it's left him a changed man.
Spending time in jail with other defendants, getting to know them. I had seen them as defendants, as criminals, and in most cases they are those things. But at the same time, they're human beings. They're people with families, and they're people that sometimes are wrongfully accused and unfortunately wrongfully convicted. And even if that happens once, it's too often.
On the flip side, Christine Lovelace, a wife and mother at home, trying to keep it together with a husband held behind bars and charged with murder.
He's in this jail cell, and he can't help me any more than I can actually physically help him. So those times were dark and they were sad, but I knew that, you know, our love and our faith and what we knew about each other, we would be okay.
But there will always be something to remind the Lovelaces of what they've been through, like the day right after the verdict. Curtis got home so fast he was still wearing his ankle monitor. And that's when he got a real wake-up call.
In the middle of the night, his alarm on his monitor went off, and all of a sudden there was a voice that was coming through saying he was out of his inclusion zone.
You are out of your inclusion zone. You are out of your inclusion zone.
And so that was a little alarming, to say the least. And clearly he wasn't out of his inclusion zone.
But that was then, and this is now. Today, the Lovelaces begin life anew, looking forward to the future, one they almost lost forever.
We had been married for 8 months when Kurt was arrested, so we hadn't spent a single anniversary together.
It was difficult being torn apart so early in the marriage, but I believe our marriage is stronger through the experience that we've had. I can't imagine what could be in our future that could be worse than having to go through this over the last 2.5 years.
Is there anything that you haven't had the chance to say to her that you would like to say now?
I think I've said it, but just thank you for all that you've done and what you've had to go through. So
You're welcome.
Lovelace tells us what he's been through has opened his eyes about the criminal justice process, and he's hoping in the future he can play a role in helping others in the same situation that he was in. He's already in the process of reactivating his law license.